in the agenda.
So, okay.
All you can
The times we live in.
So you gotta be careful.
Yeah, can't let your guard down. And I think it's just gonna be like, it's gonna be a routine thing. I mean, it's just gonna be something we're just gonna deal with.
Yep.
So. Howdy, Gene. How we doing? Doing great, sir. Hey, Gene.
All right, if everybody find a seat.
I just finished.
That Rich is here.
Yeah, keep it straight.
Okay, we're gonna call order. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to all our guests for being here. We're gonna call the meeting to order of the Boca Raton Airport Authority. It's 5 p.m. and this meeting can be viewed live through Zoom, so we are being recorded for those of you here in the room to know that. And so the first order of business is our roll call.
Mr. Down,
Here.
Mr. Tucker,
Here.
Mr. Noble, Ms. Bud,
Here.
Mr. Vogel,
Here.
Mr. Colvin,
Here.
Mr. Power.
Here.
We do have a quorum for the record, and I just would like to note that we do have 5 board members appointed by the city. They were all reappointed, so welcome back. And thank you for your service to the city and to the airport. Next item of business is the approval of the minutes. So we do have in our board package the minutes of the regular meeting of April 20th. For a motion there.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second from Mel. Any discussions, any questions, edits? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Next is agenda changes. Ms. Ben, are there any agenda changes?
Yes, sir. Item 8C will be pulled from the agenda.
Okay, and can you tell me what that is?
That is the hotel sublease.
Okay, the sublease. Okay. 8C. Public request. If any member of the public wishes to provide a comment on any item, the time to do so is now. Please complete public comment card identifying the item on which you wish to be heard and provide it to Ms. Landers. The public comment cards are located in the back of the room, and each member of the public wishing to comment will be provided with 5 minutes to do so. The chair reserves the right to move the public comment opportunity on a specific agenda item to the point in the agenda when that item is to be considered and/or extend the allotted time per speaker. Ms. Landers, do we have any comment cards at this point? None. Ms. Bennett, are there any consent agenda items?
No, sir.
Federal, state, and municipal input. Are there any input from the state?
No, sir.
That's okay. Financial report, presentation of the April financial report. Our Secretary Treasurer, Randy Nobles, is out of town, was not able to attend the meeting today. However, he informed me that he has reviewed the detail of financial report with the staff and finds all in order. So with that, I'll turn over to Jada Stewart for the financial report for April 2022. Jada?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jada Stewart, Accounting Manager. In your package is the financial report through April 30th, 2022. As you can see, total operating revenues year to date are approximately $3.8 million. Total operating expenses year to date are approximately $2 million. And net income before depreciation is approximately $1.8 million. Overall revenues are 9.8% above budget year to date, primarily due to the seasonal nature of fuel flowage and custom revenues. Expenses are down approximately 32.8% to budget year to date due to project expenses incurred but not yet received. On behalf of Airport Management and Secretary Treasurer, we respectfully present the April 2022 financial report to the Airport Authority.
Okay, thank you, Jada. The board members have had a chance to review this in detail in the board packet. Are there any questions of Jada or comments about the financial report? I'll look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Cheryl?
Second.
Okay, Mitch, I'll get you a second. All right. Any other questions or comments? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next is the 7B, presentation of the financial report for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2021, as prepared by the authority's independent auditor, BRAA and Associates. Once again, Randy Nobles, our Secretary Treasurer, is not here, but he wanted us all to be aware that he has reviewed the details of the audit report. And he also met with Brown Associates last week on a one-on-one basis to discuss the authority's financial position and internal controls. Based on his review and discussion, he is comfortable that all is in order and the authority's financial position is sound and recommends approval of the audit report. With that, I'm going to turn it over to David Kaplowski, the audit partner for Brown Associates. And David, if you introduce yourself.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dave Kaplowski, audit partner at Brown Associates. We're the independent auditors of the authority's financial statements. The authority is required to get an audit of its financial statements because of Florida state statutes, as well as federal guidelines for federal awards and state. I'd just like to draw attention to a couple of key points in the report, which is as of September 30th, 2021, the fiscal year end of the authority. The first thing is on page 1, where our independent auditor's report is located. And at the bottom of that page, you'll see a section called opinions. And there, we gave the authority financial statements a clean or unmodified opinion. And this is the highest opinion that you can receive. Next comes the financial statements of the authority. I'm just going to point out a couple of highlights, numbers. You've already reviewed this information in your agenda package. On page 6, there's the statement of net position and on to the total net position at the bottom. Second line from the bottom on page 6. On September 30th, 2021, the total net position was approximately $51 million. On page 7 is the statement of changes in that position. In the third line from the bottom, you see the change in that position from the prior fiscal year was $3 million approximately. And then on page 8 is a statement of cash flows. And there, way down the middle, you'll see a net increase, decrease in cash equivalents, and the net increase for the fiscal year was approximately $3 million in cash. So nothing really changed in the notes. There was a change in the Florida statutes that required any entity that falls within Chapter 189 of the Florida statutes had to provide certain information. And that information is on page 19. I just wanted to point that out because it's new this year in the report. All of these specific items are specifically required by the statute. The reporter, we did not audit this information, but it's required to be in the financial report. And on the next page over, page 20, begins our compliance reports. And these are required auditing as well as compliance audits for state. In this year, state compliance audit. And there's approximately 4 reports. All the reports were clean or unmodified. So I'm not going to go over all that. With that, I respectfully submit the fiscal year 2021.
Thank you, David. Thank you for the report. Any questions of Representative Brown Associates? Okay, we're looking at resolution number 5822, adopting the Boca Raton Airport Authority's financial statements, schedule of expenditures of federal awards and state financial assistance projects, and the independent auditors reports for the fiscal year ending September 30, 2021. For a motion for that?
Move.
Okay,
Second.
and Cheryl, second. Again, any other questions for David or comments? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimously approved. Thank you, David. Appreciate your help again this year.
Thank you.
Okay, next item, Jada Stewart, we'll be back. This is our investment report and the presentation of the 2022 investment report.
Report is the 2022 investment report. As detailed in the report, the Brokers Home Airport Authority invested funds are approximately 12.9 million, an increase of 26.7% from 2021. This is attributable to ongoing project grant receivables, most notably the taxiway project, which was completed in December 2020. The airport road improvement project, which was started in March 2021 and is ongoing into fiscal year 2022. And the additional iStar security lease deposit as of August 2021, sorry. As you can see, approximately 8.4 million of airport funds are invested in CDs and CDRs, while 3.3 million are kept in cash and cash equivalents, such as money markets. Approximately 1 million is kept as security deposit for various leaseholds. Starting fiscal year 2021, the airport's customs and fuel flowage were low. Started to increase December 2020 and continued to increase through fiscal year 2022. And so consistent with the financial projections, according to budget, we anticipate ending the fiscal year with 12.9 million invested funds, which is approximately 700 more than budgeted. While year-to-date interest income is 1% above budget, it is projected to be approximately 40,000 by year end, a 1.8% increase to budget. Based on the airport's current investment schedule, the average annual rate of return is approximately 0.26%, a 1.03 decrease to prior year. This decrease is attributable due to the decreased interest rates seen in the end of fiscal year 2021. October 2020, we've seen a 1 year yields drop from 0.75% to 0.4%. In August 2021, we saw 1 year yields drop from 0.4 to 0.3 and 0.2. And we anticipate yields to remain low with moderate increases with the current economic recovery. So on behalf of the Secretary Treasurer, Management respectfully presents the 2022 investment report to the Airport Authority. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, before we do that, do we have a motion to accept the 2022 investment report? Okay. Well, and Mitch seconded. Okay, any questions of Jada? Comments? Jada, can you confirm to me that these investments are made in accordance with the state statutes that we're bound under, correct?
Yes.
In terms of the investment vehicles that we use? Anyone else have any questions for Jada? Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Jada. Appreciate that. Okay, number 8, section 8, tenant reports and requests. First is Atlantic Aviation special event request, and Travis Bryan will present this. Travis?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Atlantic Aviation brought forward a special request for one of the tenants for their air charter to have a special event on October 15th this year, benefiting the Boca Historical Society as well as the Boca History Museum. Within their hangar eye, to be encompassed on their property, as all their events normally are. We're expecting 200 to 250 guests, all of which will be valet parking available and security. Now I can't talk. Airport management events approval, resolution number 050922, pending the receipt of security and safety plans.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve? Gene? Okay. Second. Bob? Okay, any questions on the event or? Okay, Travis, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, next up is 8B, Atlantic Aviation amended and restated lease agreement. There are representatives right this minute from the Atlantic Aviation to present, and we hope to hear from them after the presentation. So I'm going to turn it over to Clara Bennett to present this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We're very excited to present this proposal to you. This is the culmination of many months of discussions with Atlantic Aviation for a proposed redevelopment of their leasehold. I don't think I'm pointing in the right direction here. Okay, so maybe you can, thank you. Atlantic Aviation leases currently approximately 42 acres of airport property that has a combination of aviation and non-aviation property. The non-aviation is contained primarily within the sublease that encompasses the Fairfield Inn. The proposal that is before us today is for a redevelopment of pretty much the entire leasehold, encompassing a total construction estimate of approximately $40 million. That is the minimum that Atlantic Aviation will be required to invest in the facility as part of this new 40-year lease agreement. The improvements will include demolition of, I believe it's 5 hangars, and there will be a new construction totaling 52,000 square feet of new hangars being constructed, as well as 12,000 square feet of new office. The program will also include substantial renovations to what they call the executive terminal building, the 3700 building, that will include tearing down one of the floors to create this grand lobby entrance, all new modern finishes, as well as renovations to the remaining offices within the remaining floors. The improvement plan also includes relocation and expansion of the fuel farm, as well as reconstruction of the entire ramp. At a minimum, as I mentioned, Atlantic Aviation is required to construct approximately $40 million in investment within the first 7 years of the new lease, which, if approved this evening, will be effective June 1. That 40-year term can be extended if Atlantic Aviation completes an additional $10 million in improvements within the first 15 years, for a total of 50 years. As part of this transaction, the parcel boundaries have also been redefined. You may recall that there is a parking lot area that benefits Atlantic outside of the terminal building that had previously not been included within the leasehold boundaries. It will be included as part of this redefining of the parcel, as well as some additional areas that we were able to get, kind of modify the leasehold, eking out as much square footage as we could, particularly on the land side, to allow for some parking, additional parking for automobiles. That will net a total of approximately 142,000 square feet of additional property within the leasehold boundaries, not including the hotel. The hotel, if you could go back, I went too fast. The hotel sublease, you noted that we did pull the item that is after this, which is referenced in this lease agreement. Part of the intent that had been expressed by the hotel is it's currently a pass-through lease. It's approximately $100,000 a year in rent to the airport authority. It is defined as a non-aeronautical lease, which is why the rate per square foot is different from the aeronautical rate that Atlantic pays. The original lease for the hotel also extends beyond the sublease, I should say, beyond the existing lease term when the Atlantic Aviation lease would naturally terminate in 2033. So they had additional years beyond the ground lease. So the intent, as had been, is currently being explored by the hotel and Atlantic, is that Atlantic would assign the sublease to the airport authority. We would enter into a direct relationship with the hotel at the exact same terms and conditions as are contained within the current sublease. And then that would allow, that would be a mechanism that for the airport authority and the hotel to negotiate a potential amendment to their lease, granting them additional years if we're successful in the negotiation. However, the hotel is currently doing some exploration and some of its leasehold mortgage instruments and other areas that they're looking at. So they were not quite ready to sign that memorandum of agreement that is the subject of the next item. So Ms. Petrick and legal counsel for Atlantic Aviation amended the lease that you received last week to account for that potential or lack of it. So there's language in these two handouts that we gave you today that contemplates either of those two scenarios happening without requiring us to come back to you for an amendment to this newly amended and restated lease.
This is the Atlantic, amendment to the Atlantic.
Correct.
Proposal.
To account
Lease.
for the fact that it may or may not be assigned to the airport authority under either scenario, right, Amy, the lease remains the same. It would just be incorporated back in, the sublease would be incorporated back into the prime lease by reference. So this is just the language that we worked on last night for you to look at. Should that, whether it happens or not, it's still accounted for in the new lease.
Atlantic National and the hotel are in agreement with this language then?
Yes,
You had a
the
chance to review that.
well, this was the language that was developed by our
Yeah.
our legal counsel and Atlantic's legal
Okay.
counsel. We did have conversations with the representatives of the hotel where when they asked us to pull it, we said, well, we're going to rewrite this so that it allows for either scenario, and they're comfortable with that. At least the hotel representative I spoke with this morning,
The principals, yes.
the principals,
Yes.
not legal counsel.
Thank you.
So with regard to the financial terms and the changes that we would benefit from as the airport authority, currently the Atlantic Aviation pays is a combination of ground plus improvement rent. You'll recall that in 2019, the four-story building and other hangar buildings reverted in ownership and title to the airport authority. So per the terms of the lease, we negotiated a rental rate for those buildings that reverted to us, and that rent increases by 3% per year. So in total, they pay us approximately $1.5 million in rent currently. With the redefined parcel, the rate will remain the same, which is currently 17 cents a square foot, will remain the same for the next 2 years, but it does increase based on the newly defined parcel to $401,000 approximately per year. That's the ground rent. Improvement rent will vary because they do have a schedule that will demolish certain buildings. So once that building is demolished, there will not be improvement rent payable for those buildings that they demolish. But the ground rent will increase and will make up for, and more than make up for, that reduced revenue in the improvement rent, whereby the total ground rent will increase to $1,082,000 in 2024 by virtue of a one-time market rental adjustment to 60 cents a square foot, which is the market rental rate that was established last year. So it'll go from 17 cents a square foot to 60 cents a square foot in 2024, and will escalate by 3% per year throughout the remaining term of the lease, with some exceptions. The rent will be evaluated, again, the market rental rate will be established again in 2033, which is the natural termination of the lease term currently. If we did nothing, the lease would terminate in 2033. So there will be an analysis that's conducted then, similar to what we did last year, to peg the new lease rate to that new fair market rental rate. But it will be capped at 20%. So the one-time increase that Atlantic will get when that adjustment is made is a maximum of 20%. So that if that 3% per year has not kept up with market, there will be an increase capped at 20%. There will be similar increases or adjustments rather that will happen in the 10 years, every 10 years on the anniversary. And that will be capped at 10%. And again, it's to account for any changes in market value of the ground that have not been accounted for with those subsequent 3% increases. As I mentioned, the building rent continues for any structures that remain. There's several hangars that will not be demolished. The 4-story building, of course, will not, will be their FBO facility, and continue to be with the remodeling. But it is a break to them while they're doing the remodeling, given the fact that there will probably be no lease revenue coming in for them. They have asked for a 1-year abatement on the rent with the building. But even with, again, the reduction in rent, we anticipate that the ground rent escalation being what it is will account for that and continue to increase the rent to the airport authority. As I mentioned, certain hangars revert in 2028. That is namely the T hangars as well as hangar 5. There will be another fair market rental calculation that's done in 2028, like we did in 2019, for improvements that revert to the airport authority. We estimate, and that's kind of just an estimate based on where the market is today, that will generate approximately $500,000 in additional revenue at that time. So coupled with the escalating ground rent, we estimate that the rent to the airport authority will be about $3 million plus another $500,000, so $3.5 million in 2033. And again, those construction, that improvement will have been completed, program will have been completed within the first 7 years. With that, we recommend approval of Resolution 051022, authorizing a new amended and restated FBO lease with Atlantic Aviation. And as you mentioned, Mr. Chair, we have several representatives here from Atlantic Aviation who may want to address the board and answer any questions that I may not be able to. Tony?
Okay, yeah, if you would use the podium,
Sure.
because we're being recorded, and just introduce yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the board, staff. My name is Tony Sherwood, Regional Director of Atlantic Aviation. And would like to first start by thanking you for consideration of this proposal and this redevelopment program. What we consider to be one of the most aggressive and comprehensive single-site redevelopment programs we've undertaken in aviation. Very excited about this program. I'm truly excited for the opportunity to stand before you here today and to demonstrate our commitment to the city of Boca Raton, answer any questions that you might have. So the full capital program has been fully approved, fully board approved, and approved through all levels of organization. The spend is available to us and we're fully underway. In fact, today we had an opportunity to meet with the spend and the team and begin pre-development design meetings and preparation to begin this program in earnest. We have, again, the program has been fully funded with an expectation that the program is expedited. And at this time, subject to some phasing and operational considerations, we expect to complete the entire scope, including the future phase 3, within the first 5 to 7 years of the new lease term. So we expect that because the program has been fully funded, as we work through some of the phasing and operational considerations, again, the full scope of the program will be completed within that additional 7 year time, including again that future phase 3 development. On completion, we'll modernize, updated almost every piece of the leasehold, creating a flagship operation for the city of Boca Raton. For the aviation portfolio, we're very proud of, very excited. We sincerely appreciate the opportunity, the partnership, and your consideration of this, and happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Tony. Any questions for Atlantic Aviation, Bob?
So it's a pretty significant investment for your company. You must have a lot of faith in the future of Boca Raton. Do you have like some numbers or expectations on what you think the increased traffic will be or anything like that that you can share?
We've seen about a threefold increase in activity since 2019. So it's been a very dynamic recovery since the pandemic, and fully expect that recovery will continue. Tremendous enthusiasm and excitement, specifically with this Boca Raton market. We see tremendous potential as corporations relocate to the area. It's not just the leisure destination that we've seen in years past. And we want to be there to facilitate and accommodate that activity as it comes into the South Florida market. So we see a rebalance of the market between just a seasonal leisure destination to more of a consistent year-round business operation, as well as that leisure destination. Again, we want to be suited and positioned to accommodate that activity as the market continues to evolve and develop.
I love the schematic drawings of what we envision the future to look like. We're gonna miss the pink paint. Not
think that was
Pepto-Bismol pink, I think. it was
My
just-
first point of negotiation was,
I think we're all ready for the.
Yeah. Was it originally painted pink because of the Boca Raton Resort and trying to match up there or something? Or
I
is
think
that-
it was in keeping with the
I think so.
theme of,
Added some
Yeah,
of the
mine.
eighties.
Yes. Oh, okay.
that's right.
All right.
Nicer pink.
yes, I think so.
Well, and of course, you know, they painted over the pink too.
Yeah, right.
So it's not pink
We're a little
anymore.
behind, but we're getting there.
Yeah, good. All right, well, thank you.
You know, I live on a condo on the beach. We went from pink to white just this past year. So. But I think your plan brings the Boca Raton Airport into the 22nd century.
Yeah.
Beautiful. The renditions are fabulous.
Thank you very much. We're very excited.
Any other questions? I was just wondering how our other tenants, when you're doing the construction, what thought you've given to make sure the other operations aren't dramatically impacted? What is your thinking there?
So candidly, transparently, there are going to be some disruptions. It's going to be, there are going to be buildings that are demolished to make way for the new. We've given a lot of consideration and we've been communicating very thoroughly, very transparently with our subtenants about what this might mean for them, the accommodations that we're making for them, as well as for our operation, because we're going to be displaced from the pink building for a year while we work through the redevelopment, redesign of that structure. So we have a plan in place that's still developing that includes things like temporary, if the board approves at the appropriate time, trailers, for example, if that's an option, just to accommodate some continuation, some continuity of tenant operations, subtenant operations through the duration of the development phase. So we definitely have plans in works, shouldn't have any impact on our transient operations. But again, there will be some uncomfortable moments for base tenants. We believe that the end result will far outweigh temporary inconvenience.
And as with any project, staff will work with them on their phasing plans and MOT, maintenance of traffic, stockpile areas, access hall routes, all that sort of thing, try to minimize the ancillary
And
effects.
continuous communication with all the tenants.
Correct.
Gene?
Yeah, one question. Are you doing, if I read this correctly, doing business as Boca Raton LLC? Is that how you're registered?
Yes, the legal entity for this facility is Atlantic Aviation Boca Raton LLC.
Okay. The reason I mentioned Boca Raton LLC is inactive in the state Secretary of State Division of Corporations.
Okay, we'll certainly look into that. Not aware of any issues or problems there.
I just mentioned that because you're not, if you're not registered, then you're not authorized to do business. Or but you might want to address it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The name is Atlantic Aviation hyphen Boca Raton.
That is correct.
It's the whole.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I was-
Sorry for the
Thank you.
confusion there. That's
Right.
correct. It's the full Atlantic Aviation.
All right.
hyphen Boca Raton.
I stand corrected.
Okay. Sorry for that.
No, that's all right. Any other questions? I may have one for Ms. Petrick and Clara Bennett. With the hotel, what does that mean when the hotel lease comes over to the airport? What obligations are we taking on if that even happens? I understand that. Table that issue.
I think the only
We get the
obligation.
rent, that's
Right,
great.
right.
So-
All the terms remain the same and that's understood and the agreement contemplates that there will be a good faith negotiation on a potential new lease, if that's the extent of it. So if we're able to negotiate a new lease that's satisfactory to both sides, our biggest issue, of course, is a non-aeronautical lease. So meeting the FAA's requirements, as we've discussed regarding non-aeronautical leases is paramount. And of course, negotiating a good deal that makes financial sense for the airport authority is also important. And so I think the only obligation is that we negotiate, if any.
Well, so all the terms and conditions remain the same. Instead of it being a pass-through, we serve as the airport would serve as the direct landlord. But none of the substantive terms would be different. They would just write the check directly to the authority and so forth. And they can remain in that same situation and all of the terms survive as to them, or they can choose to negotiate something new, and that's really their choice.
Right, absolutely.
All right, any other questions or comments? All right, we do need then a motion. I'll move 5, 10, 22.
I'll second your motion.
Okay. So any other questions now? Final questions, final chance. Okay. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations and best wishes to you all.
Excellent. Looking forward to it.
We look forward, yeah.
Okay, we have pulled HC, the hotel sublease from the agenda, so we will not be considering that. Next up is Premier Aviation of Boca Raton LLC Phase 3 update. And Ms. Bennett, would you present this item to the board, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. As the board will recall, we had some discussions last month with representatives from Premier Aviation. Mr. Howard Duclos is here representing Premier as well, regarding their proposal to the airport authority to pay a rent to the airport in beginning next year in September, shortly after the requirement for the new building that's supposed to be built on phase 3 would kick in. I think we all acknowledge that that is not likely to be a building finalized, finished in construction in August of 2023. So Premier offered that they would negotiate a rent for us in keeping with the terms of the lease that would make the authority whole. We did meet with Premier, as stated in the background material, in early May, and responded to Premier's offer on Monday of that, or excuse me, on Friday of that week. But based on the timing of the discussions, they are ongoing. We were not able to complete those conversations and bring forward an 11th Amendment at this meeting. So what we are requesting, I believe, Premier is requesting, is another tabling of that notice of breach that we believe occurred in March when the permit and site plan was not presented for the terms of the previous amendments. So we would wait another 30 days, hopefully finalize those discussions and bring back an 11th Amendment that we feel is that is appropriate for the rental payment and fair to Premier. So with that, I don't know, Mrs. Duclos, if you have
Any
anything else you'd like
comments
to
or
add, or-
corrections from Premier Aviation? If
So
so,
he's looking forward to getting together with this Friday.
That's correct.
all right, so we'll start there. So what's being requested is approval of an additional 30-day extension of the notice of breach. I'm looking for a motion. We agree with
If I
that?
could just add,
Okay.
it's a minor detail I wanted to share with you. We have been receiving updates from their permitting team. We received one today. Their permitting is proceeding through the city and looks like it's very positive what they've been able to share with us. So y'all asked for that to be part of the negotiation, and they've been compliant with that request.
Okay, thank
And there
you.
is also acknowledgement that the airport authority did not waive its rights to issue a notice of breach, although of course Premier argues whether they are in breach or not, as was mentioned on the record last month, but they did provide a notice of non-waiver.
A written notice,
A written
non-waiver.
notice, they
Cheryl,
did,
you were
correct.
next, I think.
Just to be clear, Mr. Chair, you said that this motion was to extend the 30-day notice of breach. That's not exactly
Or an
right.
additional
is
30-day
it?
extension?
Because in our opinion, there is already a breach. But what we are doing is granting an extension with a footnote, if you will, that this extension does not imply that we still do not think that they are in breach.
It's a 30-day extension to you not issuing the notice
Yes.
of breach is
Yes.
what it is. you're forbearing on sending the notice of
Yes.
breach during the 30-day period where we're completing
So we are
negotiations.
really not extending the notice of breach.
With the delaying of.
Yes.
Understood,
Right.
understood.
Since we're
Extension
being
before we
recorded, I wanted to be.
extend. No, I agree, I totally understand.
So what I'm
Yeah.
gathering from what I read and what's been said this evening, you're meeting again on Friday. Progress is being made.
Yes,
And you're happy, and you guys are happy with the progress being made?
well,
Happy may not be the word. You're pleased?
Yeah.
well, there was a rental proposed revenue to the airport authority proposed by Premier. We proposed a different one. So now it's a matter of identifying kind of
The number.
where the number is, correct?
But what I'll say is
Yes.
Premier is being responsive and they're giving us information and engaging with us in what appears to be good faith. And so we are happy to report that.
And knowing the city, I'm glad to hear the permitting process is showing some.
And the city
That's
appears from what our tracking of it to be responsive and
Good.
Premier is responsive as well. So that process is going. I think the city is turning those comments back around rather.
Correct, yeah, they're doing it in their typical 2-week time
Mhm.
frame. They're down to, I believe it's just a traffic study issue is the only outstanding thing to move it along to planning and zoning. I believe it is scheduled for the community appearance board next week or the following week, but they are in the queue for that presentation.
There's light at the end of the tunnel.
It appears so.
And Amy, I think maybe you just addressed this a minute ago, but will this require another written notice of non-waiver from them if we do another 30? Or if we do this 30-day extension? we do,
In an abundance of caution, we can request that from them.
Yes, please.
Okay, Cheryl? Okay.
Yes, please.
So, okay, so we're looking for a motion for an additional 30-day extension before issuing a notice of breach with a required written notice of non-waiver. Anything else? Okay, Mitch?
I'll take that.
All right.
I'll work that.
Cheryl, you second it?
Please.
Okay, any questions or discussion? Did I get that stated properly for everybody?
Yes.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Good luck for the next 30 days. All right, let's move to item number 9, Executive Director and Staff Reports. The noise abatement and operations summary for the month of April 2021. Robert Abbott will do the presentation. Robert?
Good evening, Robert Abbott, Operations Coordinator. Before you is the so before we review, you have the operations notice payment report for the month of April 2022. During the month, we had 7,499 operations, which is 11% less than the operations of April of 2021. We had 6%, Jet A deliveries were up 6% from April of 2021, and gas deliveries were down 37% from April of 2021. We had 7 different household smile noise complaints on our hotline or on our online platform. Again, majority of the arrivals were runway 5. We did have 1 on departures from runway 5. That's the one up in the quadrants. For our customs report, we had 225 aircraft clearings from 19 different countries. So that's up from 138 clearings. You can see again the different locations there. Bahamas once again takes the number 1 spot. From as far away as Portugal and down towards South America areas. As far as the after-hours clearings, we had 66 after-hours clearings. 41 of these occurred on Tuesdays or Wednesdays when the facility is frozen. So that concludes the operations report for April. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer.
Questions of Robert?
Yeah.
Or you do? Gene?
Yeah. You have a sample of a noise complaint.
Yes, I do. They asked me to just prepare. This is just a sampling of some of the noise complaints. One of the ways I can get them, this gets emailed to me nightly. So it gets all of the complaints that come in the next day or from the previous day. So yeah, this is what it looks like when they come in from the automated bots. You can see they get all the like, names, dates, and times, and then the comment section there, that's where you can kind of see that where it says the whole airnoise.io complaint, that's letting you know that it's coming straight from there. And then the person who sets up the account is able to basically say what they want it to say each time. You don't have to do that feature. Some of them don't, some of them do. You can see the top one there, how it mentions something about the aircraft coming in. That is a pre-recorded, so to speak, message that he's typed into that. So every time it comes through, it's going to have that same one. And then the bot itself puts in the flight details, which is what it thinks is complaining on, but it doesn't really match up with the system most of the time. There's actually a second half of this that was all blank, so I didn't leave it on. That's where our Harris system would normally sync it up to a flight. It doesn't do that with the bots, it just can't do it, so it won't. But if somebody actually issues a complaint through either our public view, or they call me and I put it into the system, then it will sync it up, and then you'll have arrivals, tail numbers, all that kind of stuff.
Cheryl?
Robert, a question, please. So I'm looking at the very first entry there under comments. If I can read from this far, it says the noise is louder than the nearby noise meter indicates by the time they are over my driveway. Is there data to support that statement and similar statements? On their behalf.
We don't have the official data as far as what they are over his exact driveway. We just have the noise monitor, so.
I just don't
pretty
understand
close.
how
Yeah,
would
how
an
he said that.
individual know what it says and what it actually is. If there is a way to show that that's, a valid statement, then okay, but I don't know. Unless
Yeah.
there's a separate meter over his or her home.
Well, you can buy handheld decibel readers.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
That's what he may be doing, but wow.
But it doesn't, I mean,
Yeah,
it would be much more valid if this individual or the bot or whatever were to say, hey, it's registering X and it's coming in at X plus 10.
Right.
As
The difference is though, our equipment is certified, whereas the stuff you might
Right,
buy over the
yeah.
counter, where is he holding it?
Right, no, I understand that, I'm
Yeah.
just saying, I don't, looking for the validity. in
I
the
read that
statement.
also.
It's pretty close. I mean, you'll recall that 4 or 5 years ago, maybe more, I lose track of time. We, at the request of this community, we added a new
Yes, I
microphone
recall that.
with right there, even though we have one in Fairfield, which is across the street.
Right.
Roughly. It's closer to the airport. And so we did that as a way of kind of, increasing the transparency, but evidently it's still, I don't know how far they
It
live
is
from.
extremely close.
It's
to the
right there.
noise monitor, yeah.
Right. In order for there to be even a perception of a change in noise, there would have to be a 3 dB, difference. And, this is exponential, so you won't even notice, the human ear can't detect it.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. We do have portable noise monitoring equipment, but it's obviously not to the same calibration as the permanent ones that are there.
It's a common, something I hear commonly, that the noise monitor does not show the level that they hear. You hear that all around because nobody's ever right on top of the noise monitor, so it's always going to be somewhat different. So that's an example of something that he's put in previously, and so it's always going to come out every single time, even when it's on a departure. So
Thank
that's
you.
something about it.
Any other questions of Robert? Do we need approval? We don't. All right, next item. Thank you, Robert. Next is the Boca Raton Airport Authority Property Insurance Renewal. And Christine Landers is going to present this item.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and board members. As you're aware, according to our procurement policy, anything over 65,000 does have to come to the board for approval. This year, the airport property insurance renewal is estimated to be $75,827.76. This is an increase of a little over 11,000 from last year. So airport management is asking approval for the renewal for the airport property insurance for the year 2022 to 2023. Mr. Alex Blodgett from Blodgett and Associates, our insurance broker, is here to answer any questions you may have regarding the renewal and where the rates came from.
Okay, thank you very much. And Alex, come to the podium and
Face the
what can you
music.
tell us about this increase? Any additional information regarding the policy renewal? Thank you. And just introduce yourself for the record.
My name is Alex Blodgett with Blodgett Associates. We're located at 3700 Airport Road. Overall, the insurance costs have not gone up as much as we anticipated with the EMAS and some of the other things. However, this policy on the property, for the tower, the different hangars that we've got here, the vault, et cetera, went up $11,000. It's like a 17% rate increase, which, I mean, this is hard to say, but it's actually not a bad renewal. And the reason for that is the property rates in South Florida right now, I don't care if it's a homeowners, a condominium building, whatever, are skyrocketing due to reinsurance costs. And if you look everywhere around Boca, anywhere, the new building has shrunk the amount of capital that's involved, that's available to write it. So it has been really, really difficult. We're seeing 35, 40, 45% rate increases on some commercial buildings. So that is kind of the status of why it went up like it did. I thought it was actually a very good renewal. We had 14 other carriers we went to. Nobody would write it and except this company. And it's A-rated, it's admitted, everything. But that's kind of the state of affairs right now. Yes.
Cheryl?
When you say no one would write it, no one would write it at a lower rate?
At a lower, I meant a lower premium, or they just did not want to take on the risk because some of them have already got too much risk in South Florida, so they just said we're not.
Okay.
Yes,
To give you an idea on 17%, from what I'm hearing around the community, that's a drop in the bucket. Where I live on A1A in a high rise, and we just completed an official concrete restoration, one of the first buildings. Our property insurance on the building went up 84%. And if we had stuck totally with the private sector, it would have been more, but citizens picked up some of it. But then again, there's very few underwriters left.
The condo collapses has
Yeah,
contributed to some of that.
84%.
So a lot of carriers just pulled out of the market. They just said, we're not gonna write it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Right. Appreciation. Sure, right. Wow.
So 17% is one hell of a deal.
Okay.
Excuse my French.
All right. Any other questions? Yes.
Alex, this is one of many policies you handle for us. Are we going to see any problems or any similar increases in the other policies?
Gonna see a little bit, and what I projected for the year, we're running way below that. I thought the EMS policy would go up quite a bit. In December, it went up very, very low. The equipment around the airport that we ride has changed very little. This is the only policy that has really affected. The work comp stayed flat, the auto stayed within $1,000. So this is the main policy, and I think overall we're quite a bit below budget.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, so I'm looking for a motion to approve the property insurance renewal as presented.
So moved.
Second. Okay, Jean and Cheryl, second. Okay, any other questions for Alex or Christine? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is 9C, marketing and advertising consulting services. And Claire Bennett, you're going to present this item.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have before you a request to extend the agreement with PACE for the final of the two one-year renewal options. The original agreement was for 3 years with 2 one-year extension options. This is the second of the two. We have been able, as you know, with the world opening back up and the fact that we have Vanessa working with us on focusing on the community engagement program, have been able to re-energize this program a little bit over the last year. So we have quite a few projects on the horizon that we we started, you may have noticed that there's a new PowerPoint presentation format, pasted several of those for us, so we have some options. We're working on new videos. We just completed a tour with the students from West Boca High School, so there'll be plenty of opportunities for partnering with that school. And as part of that, which we'll show you in the next quarterly update, pasted a great video for us. It's a great asset that the school can have as well. So we're hoping that the remaining year will continue to be productive for us as we revamp our marketing program. So early next year, we'll start another process for soliciting proposals for a new contract. But in the meantime, we would like to have this continuity now that we have a little bit of momentum going with PACE. So we recommend approval of the 1-year extension.
And I know Michael Schneider is here. He's been our senior account manager for a number of years. Michael, welcome. Any questions for Clara or Michael? Okay, we have a recommendation to consider approval of resolution 5/12/22. If I have a motion.
So moved.
Okay, a second. Mitch, second it. Cheryl made the motion. Okay, any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations to PACE. Thank you for your help. Okay, next item, Florida Airport Council 2023 FAC Florida Airport Council Annual Conference and Exposition Agreement. So Claire Bennett, would you describe this to us?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, we have been approached by Palm Beach County Department of Airports and Discover the Palm Beaches, which is the Palm Beach County Tourism Board, to co-host along with Stewart Martin County Airport. So the 4 entities would co-host this event next year. This event hosts between 600 and 700 delegates from across the state. It's actually a national level conference. It's been developed quite fully over the last 50 years since the association, 50 plus years since the council, formerly the Florida Airport Managers Association, has been in existence. So the co-hosting responsibilities come with this agreement, as well as with a contribution of $10,000 to sponsor the activities throughout the conference. The conference will be held at the convention center, and the new and delegates will be housed at the new convention center hotel, that Hilton Hotel there. So it's an opportunity for us to give back to the Florida Airports Council. We're very active in the council. Scott is currently the chair of various committees and attends regularly. You chair the General Aviation Committee. I'm a past president, past chair. I'm also a scholarship recipient from when I was in high school and college. But it's a great organization. We're proud to participate, and we hope that with it being local, whether or not we host, that there will be additional participation by team who can't go when it's out of town, and hopefully by board members as well who might be interested in attending next year. So we recommend approval of the agreement.
So you think most of the staff will be able to go to these sessions, or?
We will, what we can do, and we've done in the past, the last time it was in the Boca area, I think it was 2014 or 15, I can't remember.
2015, it was in Boca Raton, and it was in Fort Lauderdale in 2019.
So what we can do is provide for days so people can come and go, and that way, depending on the topics of conversation or the presentations. There's also lots of committee meetings. Sunday's the committee meeting day, so people can attend those in person. We are normally they attend virtually, and then there's usually Tuesday, it's been a couple of years since I've been. So Tuesday they have the state and FAA panels generally, right?
Those are usually Wednesday morning, the final day that they leave the big hitters for the last day, keep people around.
And those are good days because again, it's the delegates from FAA and DOT that can come. So, and they have an exhibit hall that is open through, I don't know what day anymore, but it's open, the exhibit hall is great as well because we can interact with vendors. And Rob can interact with some of the noise vendors, and Travis can interact with some of the vendors that provide support out on the airfield.
Sure.
Will we have an opportunity to exhibit so we could develop some exhibits specifically for that?
Yeah, part of the agreement is for this current year, we would actually attend. I think maybe Christine or Vanessa. We will have some folks attending. I know Scott will have to attend as well. In the conference in Orlando, and have a booth with the host committee. So we'll be there sort of promoting next year's event. And then at next year's event, I think there's a host table as well where we give out goodies and, welcome to Palm Beach, welcome to Boca, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
But I meant, well, we'll talk.
Yeah. This will go in the budget next year. So this is an opportunity for us to build this into next year's marketing budget as well. Yes.
Good for the county, good for our staff to interact. Okay, so this is resolution number 5/13/22, recommended by the staff. I have a motion. Okay. Mel makes motion a second. Rich. Okay, second. Any other questions or discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Authority board member requests and report. This is a chance to discuss if anybody has any issues, things we haven't thought of or should have brought up, or Bob, anything? Yes, sir. Okay, yes, sir. Okay. Gene, Mitch, Cheryl? Good. Okay, great. We've covered everything. Public comment. So have there been in the meantime any comment cards? No additional public comment? Any other business to come before the board? Yes.
I do have one order of business, Mr. Chair. It's with great sadness, but also with best wishes. Jose Cabrera, who's the general manager at Signature, and we've worked with Jose for about 2 years, a little over 2 years now. I think the first half was COVID, so we probably didn't meet until like September, October of that year. But it's leaving us and leaving Signature stuff. Okay, if you want to address the board.
Yeah, I mean, I've been with Signature for a little over 6 years, and different opportunity arose, and I'm doing a joint venture with personal entrepreneurship on the side in aviation, and then also I will remain in GA aviation in Oaxaca, which I've been avoiding, but apparently I've been summoned to go down to Miami. So I had the opportunity, so I will be leaving Signature at Airport's Boca Raton Airport, but honestly, it's been great. I mean, this is one of the best authorities that to work along with. So thank you everyone for the opportunity to be here. You guys are doing great things.
Good luck.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Jose, for all you've done for the Boca Airport, and we wish you all the best in the future. I think that's great. So thanks for bringing that to our attention. So the next meeting is scheduled for June 15th, 2022, right here at 5 p.m. in the conference room. So I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.